if you haven't seen my October TBR, A, I will link it up above for you, but B, I do have some new bookshelves behind me. They are a new work in progress. I do also have a new reading chair. Video detailing all of this coming your way very soon. But just excited to be in a new filming space for you. Welcome to my September wrap up. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below, you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where you can keep up with what I'm reading in between videos. And yes, I will be putting together a new reading and filming space tour for you very soon. So make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on that one. And if you have missed that October TBR, I will leave that linked up above so that you can see what I'm planning on reading / have already started reading this month. September wasn't a great reading month for me. It was back to school. I was starting with a new year group and a new key stage since I joined that school in January. It's just not been a great time for reading. However, I did read something from every category, aka ebooks, physical books and audiobooks. So I do have some stuff to talk about. And all but one of these books were actually on my September TBR, so that's very exciting. Let's kick off with that ebook first of all. I read Together Again by Millie Johnson. I do have a written review of this one on my blog and on my Goodreads. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It follows three sisters who have just lost their mother, and they're kind of united in their grief, but also united in their kind of mixed up upbringing. Even though they are sisters, they are 7 years apart, each of them. So the oldest one is 7 years older than the middle one, is 7 years older than the youngest one, and therefore they were kind of brought up like only children. And the fact that their mother has died has left them with sort of a lot of questions and a lot of things that they need to find out. I found this so compelling. I read the majority of it in one sitting and then had to wait until the next weekend to then pick it up again and read the last 30% I'd left myself. It was really hard being sort of pulled away from the book, but I was not doing anything except working and sleeping in the week in between. But I did this as a buddy read with my lovely friend Hayley, and we were both really intrigued by these women and really compelled to keep reading. So definitely recommend this one. A lot of people have been saying it's very different from Millie's normal stuff. I felt that her last book was quite different from her sort of norm, and so this book kind of felt more in keeping with that. However, I feel like her humour was in there, her sort of sense of girl power and rotten men getting the comeuppance that they deserve was in there. And so I just really enjoyed it. And I mean, it's Millie's 20th novel. She knows how to write a book that's going to keep me turning the pages, and this is just no exception. So highly recommend this one. It will of course be linked in the description box below. And then we have my physical book, which I also did as a buddy read with Hayley. We have back-to-back buddy reads, and that was very exciting. And this one is The Reason by Bennetto. In my September TBR, I told you that because I'd tabbed this one, we had already started it. So we started it just after the bank holiday, and so we started it, must have been on that bank holiday Monday, and then read it through the end of August, through my first couple of days back at school. Got an interesting shadow going on here. And we really enjoyed this one. This one gave us Gilmore Girls vibes, and not just because we were reading it on the 1st of September, but it has a great mother-daughter relationship. It's a single mum and just an only child daughter. She has a slightly controlling in her own way kind of mother, thinking about Emily Gilmore there, and has sort of come into some money through a way that she's not really comfortable with, and so I think that helped give us the Gilmore Girl vibes as well. We found this one to be a real page turner, and again we kind of wanted to keep going and find out what was going to happen. I slacked off towards the last section. I normally I'll give myself a chunkier bit for the last section, but then because I was back at school, those last couple of days I fell behind and had to catch up on that weekend when I wasn't working, ready for being back at school. And so it was frustrating because Hayley had finished and she'd written her review, and I was like, no, I can't talk to you about this until I've finished reading it, and I can't finish reading it until I've done my 2 training days at school and had the sleep that's required after those. So again, this is adult fiction, really recommend it, really enjoyed it. And yeah, Catherine Bennetto never fails to impress me as well. These are 2 auto-by authors that we've spoken about so far, and they don't disappoint. And then we had some non-fiction. This was my first sort of audiobook after being back at school. I read She's Nice Though by Mia Mercado, and this is a collection of essays on being bad at being good. There were some really interesting essays in here. There were a few that were kind of quite out there and quite different from what I was expecting, but there was a few that I definitely related to. I would say I sort of enjoyed / related to this book less than Weird But Normal. I absolutely loved Weird But Normal and would totally reread that one. A few of the essays are definitely very similar to the ones in Weird But Normal, but a few of them are very different, and some have already been published, some are unpublished, and then there's some sort of story type things that are interesting and a bit of a sort of departure away from what I expected this book to be. However, I found the book very compelling. There's definitely something that everybody will be able to relate to in here, and so sort of something for everyone within the book. It was well narrated, even though it's not read by the author, and if you were picking this one up as a physical one, I think it would be good to sort of dip in and out of, go, oh, I fancy reading that chapter about that this time, and then then I fancy reading that chapter about that. I think it would be one to go back and forth on. I think it would work really well like that. And then another audiobook I read, which was on my September TBR, was obviously, if I can find it, I've lost it now. It was Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I can't find my picture of it, and I do not know why. Where has it gone? There it is. Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I enjoyed this one. I thought the narration was fantastic because it is a full cast narration, as Taylor Jenkins Reid's books have been recently. This one follows a tennis star in her sort of uprising, and then her fall from grace and her comeback, as it says on the cover. And even though I wasn't interested in the world of tennis, I did definitely enjoy this one. But I think the thing that I liked most about this one wasn't just the sort of underdog story, but also the fact that we have news bulletins and sort of podcast pieces and interview pieces. It's very multimedia, but in audiobook form. I don't know how this is going to work as a physical book. If you've read the physical book, do let me know in comments how it read for you, just because those kind of different media sections of it, would be interested to know how they appeared in the physical or even the ebook. I enjoyed this one. It's adult fiction. It's not my absolute favourite of hers, but I did definitely enjoy it. I read it in quite big chunks. I listened to it while I was sorting out some of the bookshelf behind me, as well as on my commute to and from work for the first sort of couple of weeks of term. Definitely on the longer side compared to some of the audiobooks I've read, but I definitely really enjoyed it. And Taylor Jenkins Reid has also sort of become an author-by author for me, even though I haven't read some of her older titles. I only read one of her older titles and then jumped in with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And then finally, the final book that I finished was The Club by Ellery Lloyd. This had been sort of on my radar for a while. I had it out from the library. I let my borrow expire. I let my hold expire. It was one of those that I just never seemed to be able to get back to. And then I finally was able to listen to it on my commute to and from work last week. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. The tagline for this one is "Everyone's dying to join." So it's a members only club, very hip, very exclusive, very much tweeted about, and posted about on socials. But yeah, there's, you know, darker things going on here, darker things with the owners, darker things with the people who work there, and darker things with the members. I didn't enjoy this one as much as Ellery Lloyd's, their previous book, but it definitely has that same vibe. I enjoyed that kind of like social media, social build up, oh, who's talking about who and why would somebody want to get rid of somebody else kind of like vibe to it. As I say, I didn't enjoy it as much as their last one, but I definitely did find it compelling. If you're worried that this one might be too scary because it looks very thrillery, I would say that it's definitely not on the scary side. It was definitely a bit of a thinker, a bit of a like, I wonder why they've done that, and then sort of finding out why. And this one did have a very long epilogue. I love an epilogue, and then if an epilogue is nice and long as well, that's always very exciting for me. So I approved of the epilogue in this one. And then I did DNF a book. And this might sound quite controversial because I do have standalone review of how much I loved these authors' sort of previous works. And so I hope you're sitting down. I did not finish My Imaginary Mary. Now this one surrounds like Mary Shelley and the writing of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and a whole lot of other historical figures from that time. I listened to nearly half of it, and then I just was like, I can't tell you a whole lot about this book. I'm not feeling engaged to jump back into this book. And I listened to nearly half of it, and it's like a 16-hour book. So I invested a lot of time in this one, and I wanted to love this one. This one might be a case of right book at the wrong time, and if I had more time to invest in this, or I had more time to sit down and listen to it in bigger chunks, it might work for me. This one also might work as a physical or an ebook rather than an audiobook, but right now I DNF'd this one for the month of September. So whilst I only read 5 things in the month of September, I read half of a book that was the same length as a whole entire audiobook, because if I've listened to 8 hours of a book, we have audiobooks here that are 8 hours long or less. And so, yeah, especially for a YA novel, I think I sort of went into that one thinking, oh, this will be a nice, quick, easy read. It'll make me laugh, just like the Lady Janie series did, just like My Contrary Mary did. And yeah, I mean, it's possible that the Mary series isn't for me. I definitely didn't love My Contrary Mary as much as I loved all the 3 Lady Janie's books. I also did those as buddy reads and chatted about them with friends from the library, so it might be that too. There's all sorts of reasons why I might not have finished that one, or why I might not have liked that one as much. But yeah, it is interesting. So yeah, there you have it. One ebook, 1 physical book, 3 audiobooks, 5 things read in the month of September. That is still basically a book a week. And the fact that I've got something from every category, I'm proud of. And I have 4 things that were on my September TBR and only 1 that wasn't. And it had kind of been on my like radar TBR basically all year since it came out. So I think I did a pretty good job, and I'm really quite pleased with my reading. I will be back with another video very soon. In the meantime, please do let me know in comments what you read in the month of September. Have you read any of the books that I read, and have you DNF'd anything recently? Several questions there for you to answer. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on my future bookers content. I've got some book versus movie videos coming your way soon, as well as some standalone movie reviews. I will be back with that movie review for you this weekend. So I will see you then. Thanks for watching.